everyone. Welcome to Green Talk by Green Care Solutions on KCAA, NBC Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and on YouTube. This is a cannabis-friendly and educational show. You must be 21 years of age to listen. As you guys can see, we have a former NFL athlete, Ricky Williams, as our guest today. But before we get into the show, we're going to briefly explain what Green Talk is all about. And I also want to let you guys know that we have Savvy Socks today. You can check out their Instagram at SAVVYSOX, Savvy Socks. They have a lot of great customized socks. And we also have Vibe Vendor CBD. Vibe Vendor, their Instagram is at Vibe Vendor, and they are lab tested to guarantee their purity, and they're based out of Colorado. So let's get into the show, and let me first introduce my two co-hosts.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Angela Mazzanti, here yet again.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Brian Gonzalez, here representing Green Care Solutions. You can follow me at Brian_Gonzalez22.
Now, like we were saying, this is a cannabis-friendly and educational program. You must be 21 years of age to listen, and we're not doctors, but Green Care Solutions has doctors for you.
And if you have any questions for us, go ahead and give us a call at 951-609-4071. We're an 8-time award-winning company and also featured in Forbes.
So let's get into the show. We have former NFL running back Ricky Williams. I know you've had such a long journey in cannabis, and now you're studying Chinese medicine as well.
Yeah. So my journey with cannabis started back in high school, like I think a lot of people growing up in San Diego. And a friend of mine, we had an open lunch, so a friend of mine took me to his house at lunch and smoked me out, and I coughed a lot and couldn't focus in physics after lunch. And I was an athlete, and back then in the 90s, jocks didn't smoke. And so I kind of put it away and really, embodied the jock stereotype. And then I got to college and realized, half the team was smoking. And I dabbled a little bit in college, but, didn't really get into it. And then my senior year in college, I was going through some difficult times, and a friend said, here, and I think being in a unharmonious state and consuming cannabis, it really struck me that, wow, this plant, this medicine can really help me feel better. And, for the next several years, finding a way to consume cannabis in a league where I wasn't allowed to. And eventually I got to the point where I decided to walk away from football and see what else my life was about. And that's when I got into alternative healing. I think the first thing was being a football player, my body and my mind were all beat up, and so I needed to do a lot of healing. And I was drawn to, at the time, Ayurveda, and then I started studying yoga, went to India and became a yoga instructor, and, really started me on a spiritual path. But, through my journey, this question about cannabis was always looming large. And I remember I was in India with my yoga teacher, and we were driving up the Himalayas, and we were driving, and I looked out of the window, and there were just fields of cannabis growing naturally.
No way.
Yeah, it was just everywhere.
I've actually heard of that. I've been to India. I just went to Delhi, Agra, and Jaipur, but I know in other parts of India they do that. And I kind of
I don't even know if it was planted, because at the place where I was staying in the Himalayas, like we had to walk up these stairs to the house, and walking up the stairs, I can kind of understand why they call it weed, because it was just growing everywhere on the side. And then it, coming from America where there's such a taboo, a huge stigma and such a huge taboo, to be in a holy place, to realize, okay, this is natural. In studying Ayurveda, Ayurveda and their physicians have used cannabis for, anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years. And coming out of the world for where I was, kicked out of the league almost for it, to a place where it was embraced for spiritual reasons and for medical reasons. And it really changed my relationship with cannabis. And, my journey and my story was really the nexus for real wellness, and, bringing my passions and my experiences to bear on creating a product that gives people a way to use cannabis in a way that can help them feel better.
Most definitely, because you're an athlete, and being in football, you are always going to have pains and aches, right? And sometimes we're so used to a culture where we get prescribed some type of chemical to heal us. And these chemicals, unfortunately, people can become addicted to it, and it's not good for our bodies. And here we have Mother Earth herbs. God put some types of herbs for us that can help us, like CBD and hemp oils, because that's what you use for a lot of your pains and aches as a former athlete as well.
That 100% CBD, like THC has been, helps me relax and everything. But as far as really has helped me with medical, has been the CBD full spectrum tinctures, and then the topicals. Like that, literally, I haven't had to take any over the counter, no prescription for a long time now. And I was watching an interview with Al Harrington. He said the same thing. He said once he discovered CBD, and it's not about just getting high. And he said the same thing. He said he hasn't had a pharmaceutical drug in like 2 years. So people aren't just making this up. It's like, think that it's non-psychoactive. Hey, it's not really doing anything for me. But when you have real pain, like being an ex-athlete, and you have real injuries, you know the difference if something's helping you rather than somebody that's not in pain. They're like, CBD doesn't do anything psychoactive. I don't want anything to do with it. But but with Ricky Williams starting a CBD company known for cannabis and everything, you got to take that serious because it's not just a business. It's like you have to have passion behind it.
In our products, we have a couple of products with THC. We have a couple of products with CBD and THC, but mainly CBD. And when we talk about our company, honestly, we're not really a CBD company. We're an herbal company. And, like you just said that cannabis is an herb. And I think people have forgotten that.
Yeah.
And for me, I saw this as being an herbalist for the past 15 years. I saw this as a great opportunity to take the bandwagon around cannabis and CBD and to introduce other plant medicines to people. And so all of our products are CBD and or THC, but also other herbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I think a lot of people forget that it is an herbal remedy. It's not just what people think it is. Like, oh, I just want to get high and I just want to like feel like that from
and I
THC.
think Hollywood kind of made it worse.
And
because
social media too.
Social media now is making it worse. But before social media, so I was, when I was a kid in the 90s, I remember there were so many like movies that were all about teenagers,
reefer madness.
Yeah, getting wasted from cannabis. And as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And now as an adult, now that it's recreationally legal too, and now there's more information out there. But the 90s and early 2000s, I feel like Hollywood and the media really made it, such a party animal thing.
Yeah, and they depict it such as like a gateway drug when it's really like opioids are more of a gateway drug than weed is.
Yes, most definitely. And unfortunately, because, of your career, you were kind of judged for cannabis while you were an athlete.
Yeah, well, my experience wasn't so much about being judged from other people. I think being famous, you kind of learn.
Yeah, when
for
you're
the most
famous,
you're
part,
going to get judged
no
no
matter
matter
what.
You learn to deal with that. I think the most dangerous thing about the stigma is that people start judging themselves. And I was fortunate enough to have the time and the resources to go on my own adventure and find out for myself what cannabis was all about. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. They just have the scars from their parents, their teachers, their coaches, whatever, telling them that they were bad people. And I think even people that are 100% for cannabis, I think even we still have remnants of these old scars where we're doing a good job with I think more positive propaganda, talking about the positive effects of cannabis. But again, my entree into cannabis was medical, but it was also spiritual. And I think taboo drugs, but I think even the deeper taboo is a taboo against altered states of consciousness. And if we go back in history, not even that far, we go back a couple hundred years, especially if we go look at indigenous tribes, all of them believe that the number one key to healing was an altered state. And even Einstein said, it's difficult to solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it.
Yeah.
And there's so much truth behind that, because we had Darren Prince on our show. He is a celebrity sports agent. He was even stating in his book that he really needed time to find himself spiritually to overcome opioid addiction. And once he did that, he was able to overcome these fears and let go of what other people were judging about him, and he was able to find his recovery.
To me, that's the true healing power of cannabis. I mean, because when I found cannabis and really stuck to it, I was struggling with social anxiety disorder. I didn't want to be around my teammates. I didn't want to be around anyone. And I'd come home from school, or I'd come home from practice, and I'd smoke, and I'd reflect, and I'd do some internal psychoanalysis and try to understand myself better. And coming to terms with who I was and how to be that in the world, I've overcome social anxiety disorder. And my life has really taken off, and it feels so much more meaningful than it was when I was just a football player.
No, most definitely. And that's so great that you have such a mind like a philosopher, because that's what you also kind of identify yourself as, a philosopher and someone that loves to understand things. I know it's a great thing, and it's good. Not if you let everyone judge you, you'll go crazy. Things can develop. You might want to drink. You might feel like you need these medical drugs to help you that you get from the pharmacy.
Yeah, you have to do at the end of the day. You have to like do what's best for yourself. Like I saw your last post about Andrew Luck.
Yeah,
like he did what's best for himself. The fans might not agree with it. He's still 29 years old, but somebody, Ricky Williams, sitting here, understanding what the guy's going through and advocating for him and supporting and stuff like that. That's the real, like the mental aspect, not just physical, to be able to look at yourself, say, this is what's best for me. And, I saw that post and I appreciated that, man.
Well, that's the other thing I think about cannabis is it's hard to consume cannabis and be judgmental. It's really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
But now I feel like times are starting to change now, which is good. And a lot of scientists are starting to do so many different tests on cannabis because there's been use of it in the past for people that have cancer to help them go through the pain of it. And even one of a politician that we still have in office, his mother has cancer, Paul Ryan, and he's an advocate for cannabis because he said his mother really needed it during her treatments. So now scientists are doing a lot of tests where they're seeing if they can kill cancer cells. And so they've been discovering with a certain amount of cancer cells, they're able to kill them with cannabis. But however, they're still doing more theories to really prove it, to really take it to the next level. So now they're trying to do studies on more individuals. But the science is there, and I think it's beautiful that now that it's recreationally legal in certain states, and it's been medically legal, but now people are okay about putting money for funding to see if this can really make a huge difference.
There's an interesting saying we have in Chinese medicine, that if you're trying to treat a disease after it's already shown up, it's like forging weapons when the war has already started. It's too late. And so a big part of Chinese medicine is preventive medicine. And so I think it's wonderful that medicine and science are getting into studying cannabis and see how it can affect cancer. But, my sense is that cannabis can also be used to prevent things like cancer. And there's studies that are starting to show that one of the causes of cancer is mishandling our emotions and keeping things in.
Well, and I think that's like one thing a lot of people overlook with even like THC and CBD use and everything is not just the medical aspect side of it, but like the mental health side of it and how important it is for people who have depression or anxiety or suffer from social anxiety and stuff like that, and how cannabis can really be a way to open up that and help people who are dealing with inner things, because a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and I think it does need to be talked about more about mental health and how cannabis can really help it.
Yeah. And how cannabis can hurt it. I think, when I talk to people about cannabis, I talk about it mainly from a spiritual point of view. And I point out that people can be too spiritual, meaning people aren't grounded enough. And I think if you don't have like a strong sense of who you are and you're not grounded in the world, cannabis can be dangerous. And to me, the work is just get a sense of who you are, and cannabis can help you expand and go to the next level.
Like some people might take a bunch of edibles because they want to party. That's when I feel like, okay, that's not good for your mental state because you're going to have anxiety at that point.
Yeah.
So it's a good way just to manage it and be responsible with it as well. So
a lot of the research that came out in the 70s and before, I'd say the late 1990s, all of the research essentially was designed to prove that cannabis was bad for us.
Of course.
And so one of the findings that kept coming up and that a lot of people used against cannabis was
schizophrenia
and paranoid schizophrenia. And when they've looked deeper into those studies, they've seen that people that manifested that disease state already had symptoms before they even used cannabis. And so that's what I meant earlier about if you don't have a strong sense of who you are, and you
It can bring out
things that are, and I think that's if you're surrounded with help in a healthy environment, that's part of the healing process. Is you got to bring something out so that it can be resolved. But if you're not doing it responsibly or consciously, you can make the situation worse.
Yeah, very true. And especially because of your career, there was probably a lot of anxiety. What was one of your fondest memories of playing in the NFL? Probably a lot.
Payday.
I mean, you've had such an elaborate career. We're very successful in it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I kind of feel like it was something that I that I did in a past life, and so it was relatively. I won't say it was easy, but it was natural for me. You know, me being myself, just being me helped me become a good football player. And yeah, I had to have the discipline and all that other stuff, but again, it felt natural to me. And I honestly, I would say that the biggest impact my career has made is it's given me a platform. Is that now I can talk about smoking weed and people listen.
Not hide it.
Now you have the last laugh because back then it was like, oh, taboo, and now it's like, oh, okay, I'm interested. I want to hear now.
It is that, but it's also this idea in life. You know, when I was going through all that, I was in my 20s still, and I just think that's a separate issue about people expect athletes to be saints. We're in our 20s, you know. That's when I think we're the most retarded in our lifespan. You know, we usually have enough resources and enough information to get ourselves in trouble, but we have to go through experiences to gain wisdom. And so, you know, I feel fortunate that I could go through all the ups and downs and everything and still be on my feet and still have enough, you know, stature that people still listen to what I have to say and they're still interested.
Well, it's great that you're using your platform in a positive way because you're a philosopher and you like to educate people on self-healing. So I applaud you on that because sometimes people with a platform, they might not use their platform for helping others. And they do, but then some, you know, it's kind of like they might be using it just to show off cars and show off. Oh,
we
this
see
is
the
my
term
jet.
influencer thrown around so much nowadays that it's like, what are you really influencing and how are you really like providing a positive aspect in the world nowadays?
Well, I think it's tough because, you know, when I first got into the NFL, I think for me when I was a kid, the main motivating factor to become famous was to have a platform. And so I got my platform. I was 21 years old and I wanted to like support something. But I had no idea who I was, and I spent my whole life being a football player. I didn't know what I wanted to support, and so I knew education was important to me. So I dabbled around in education, but you never know. The universe works in the mysterious ways. Never would have guessed that this would be my cause.
You also played baseball too, right? Minor league baseball?
Played minor league baseball for a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that about you.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff people don't know.
And then also too, you have a Freedom Football League. Is that correct?
The Freedom Football League, yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit.
So I got a phone call from a friend of mine who I coached football in China with, and he said, you know, a couple of friends of mine, they want to put together a spring football league. And in my mind, I was thinking, that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
And so I said, but you know, I'll come and sit and I'll hear what you guys have to say. And so I sat with them and they kind of laid out their idea, and I thought that's kind of interesting. And then I was just talking, and I said, you know, what would make it more interesting is if this was an opportunity to pull retired football players back into something that's meaningful. And I think everyone that's played professional football has dedicated their life to it, and we have so much treasure, but we're just stuck at home not doing anything with it. And so I said,
still at a young age too.
I said, if we can turn this league into something that to help get retired football players back on their feet and give them an audience that is hungry for the wisdom and the knowledge that they have, I think this could be something I get behind. And I expected them to laugh at me, but they invited me back the next week, and about 95% of what I shared with them, they implemented.
Wow.
And so for me, you know, it really empowered me to say this is an opportunity to make a splash in the world and help my brothers, but also help the young football players coming up. Because if there were more mentors that had been down this path before, I think my life and my career would have been different because I would have received some guidance from people that had been there before. Nice.
And what do you think the league's going to be stance on as far as CBD THC? Have you guys discussed that at all?
Well, so my role in the league is director of player health and wellness. Okay. And so of course we're gonna have THC.
Okay, so no testing for that then.
No, of course not. I mean,
all right,
to
that's
me,
good.
It's for what, you know, and I probably was the person who suffered the most in the NFL from the NFL's drug policy. Yeah. And they treat you like a criminal, you know. It just doesn't feel good, and it hurts your confidence, it hurts your belief in yourself, and it's just not a good look. And if our players truly need help, we're gonna get help for them, but we're not gonna assume that there's something wrong with them.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they allow drinking, and whether you have a problem drinking or not.
Allow drinking. I've been in locker rooms where there's a keg in the locker room.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, how did you deal with like pain and everything since you couldn't use cannabis really?
So there was one day I was sitting in our training room, and I was just sitting on the table getting treatment, and I just saw guys walk in one by one, and getting we call Toradol shot. They get a shot in the butt. You don't feel anything for 2 days. And I started doing the math, and I'm like, okay, if we have to take these strong NSAIDs, these anti-inflammatories, just to practice on a daily basis, and we have a 10-year career, that's not going to be good for our
Long
liver
term.
and our
No,
kidneys.
not at all.
And so I took it on myself at that moment that I need to find a way to take better care of myself. And so I would just spend an extra 30 minutes before practice doing a little stretching, warming myself up, and just really getting my mind right. And so I just took it on myself to learn tools to take care of my body better.
You use any topicals for yourself?
Yeah, we have a topical.
This is the one that we have.
So all our
Right, similar to
CBD
yours.
products are all hemp derived. So all of them are THC free on our CBD side. We have THC products as well. That one has 500 milligrams of CBD isolate and also has 25 essential oils in there as well too. So sometimes you get a topical and just too much in your face. Everybody sees you, smells you from 20 feet away. Well, that one has more of an actual, it's good for your skin as well, first of all. And I mean, the reviews on that are amazing, especially being able to use it personally. So that's something we want to make sure, go and take home that day.
Yeah.
See how it is. And then also too, we have vape cartridges, CBD, full spectrum. We have vape juice for people for the vapors, we're trying to get them off nicotine, so we have the CBS, and then we also have our THC products. We have our THC lemonade. They're distillate infused, so you're not going to get that weed taste in them.
Right.
So you got to make sure you take a little bit at a time, because those, once it kicks in, you might
really
want to
hit.
drink the whole
Get you
thing.
right, yeah.
And then one of the things that put us on the map was what Yanitza was holding.
The canna hookah.
So what this is,
No
and what-
nicotine.
no nicotine, no tobacco. It's 1,000 milligrams of CBD per jar, and you would smoke just like in a hookah rig, except you're not getting any tobacco or nicotine in it. And
That's
it's
cool.
all CBD in there as far as different. We have 7 different flavors.
And I like it socially because if I'm, let's say, at a hookah lounge, or if I'm, let's say, at an event in LA, I know the hookah thing is really, really popular, and
Yeah.
it is fun socially, but I don't like nicotine. I don't like putting that in my body. I never, ever did. So when there's an alternative socially to
Yes.
CBD, that's just so much better for me. And I'm like, gosh, why couldn't this just be around way before? Because people are always smoking cigarettes, doing all these things that are bad for you.
And it's like if you intake too much nicotine and you're not used to it, you get really nauseous. You
You get
might
nauseous,
throw up.
dizzy. I just, it's not my thing. But I'm so happy that Green Care
Yeah.
Solution has the CBD.
Yeah,
kind
we
of,
have we have our product located throughout Orange County in the Inland Empire, some hookah lounges. So, but yeah, we have that all available on our website as well too. But we have a wide variety of products, and then next month we have a whole CBD skincare line coming out as well too. We're
called
going to
Hemp
launch it.
Avenue.
Yep.
You know what I really want to get into is that there's a lot of illegal, non-lab tested cartridges and vaping going around. And it's really unfortunate because you get really young adults that are getting sick. I don't know if you've been seeing this on the news. They'll buy cheap products or something that they think is lab tested because they
It
just buy it at a
says
store. It
lab
says, but
tested
it's
on
not,
it.
because it's such a gray area right now that's been going on with even vaping. I know you two are very, very knowledgeable about it,
Yeah.
and so am I. But it's really unfortunate, Brian. You even know everything that's in here should be a certain type of product, certain type of lab testing. All of our products
Yeah,
are lab
absolutely.
tested
They all
2
have
times.
COAs on it for certificate of analysis to prove that it doesn't have the heavy metals, the pesticides, and the milligrams say they are what's on it.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, a COA, because I think there's so much misinformation right now with
Yeah.
CBD, and I think that's a great starting point, and the advice we give to people: if you're not sure about your CBD provider, ask for a COA.
Yeah, and if they can't, walk away.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people that are getting greedy. They just want to make money, and their heart is in the right place because
They want to take advantage of the people who really
they just
need
want to make
this.
money, and it's like, no, people are buying hemp and CBD because they want to heal themselves of pain, and you're making it worse.
I think they want to see what all the fuss is about. What's everybody's talking about? They're Googling this and that, and then they get the one brand they buy online that's hemp only, not even no CBD in it, and they say it doesn't work, bad rap, bad publicity. And then like you were talking about, like with the packaging, whatever is on there, you want to make sure it's what's in it. Because what happens is there's actually companies out there getting sued, thank God, because they're out there giving all the real good CBDs, like real wellness, and our company a bad rap.
yeah.
And, and it's just one
And
of those
people
things.
don't understand. They're probably going
Trust your
back to that
source.
stigma.
Yeah.
Oh, I told you, it was bad, and here you are getting in trouble
Snake
with
oil.
it. Yeah.
Have you heard anybody personally, or what articles have you read about the cartridges making people sick? Have you looked into it much as far as the THC?
Well, I saw that. I saw something on the an article on my news feed about the first death that they're attributing to using vapes. And what little research I did, they're not sure if it's like one company, they're not sure if it's what's in the oil, or they're not sure if it's what's in the device.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell because like there's so many people who are buying
So many
old
vape
packaging
companies,
from legitimate companies and then putting whatever oil that they can make in there. So it makes it hard to really put the blame on whoever it is, but it's at the end of the day, it's like if you don't know the legitimate companies and where to get these legitimate companies, there's a reason why these products are probably like $10, $15 retail, that they shouldn't be that much when you see them going for normally like 60 to 80 and you're wondering why you're getting pesticide poisoning.
Yeah, and the thing is too is the way that it works. I mean, because like I said, I'm real deep into the business and do a lot of research. What's happening is China's sending over all these fake cartridge packaging that looks cool, appealing. People are buying it for a quarter, 10 cents, downtown LA, online, everywhere.
And high school kids buy it 'cause
they're
it's
buying
cheap.
empty cartridges, and they're literally filling it with some of the stuff is not even any THC in it at all. So there's a lot of products out there that make it look like there's THC. They're selling it on the street, and that's what's going on. So like when people are even contributing it to the cannabis industry and trying to give it a bad rap, it's like it's further from the truth. And that's the one thing with us. Like if you're going anything on the street with Prop 64 now in California, if you're going to an illegal event, going to an illegal shop, these legal companies can't sell to those illegal shops anymore. So if you're going in there, you're not getting anything.
If you go to like a sash, an underground sash, just kind of be
Yeah.
careful.
But what do you tell people though? Because the truth is, with the regulations the way they are right now, people are highly incentivized to go to illegal shops. You know,
Well,
they're
that's-
not going to have to pay that 38% tax.
Those are the people that are trying to rebuttal against the tax. That's all that is. But if they really want to use it medicinally and all that stuff, I know some
And they
people are on
don't
a
want to
budget.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Like people on a budget, they only have this much, and if they go to a legal shop, they might get a half gram where they might go to this place and get 2 or 3 grams, but yet this is not going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
But so it's people not really doing research. So that's what this show's for. I mean, for us to give people information and then they can do what they want with it. So, but yeah, so to everybody listening out there, trusted source, trusted
Well,
brand.
yeah,
And that
I mean,
goes with
sure.
CBD too.
Yeah, I will say kudos to the BCC and they have, I think, done a good job regulating
Yeah.
the cannabis to make sure that people are getting clean medicine. I have different opinions on the way they're taxing it
Tax.
right now.
Oh, yeah.
We all do.
Yeah.
But that's the difference too from like when you're looking at like where something is legally made. Like I've been to a lot of these legal extraction places and everything is so by the book and so like specific down to like how their air conditioning is done, to like how cleanliness is handled there and the types of machines they're using. Whereas like you look at these things that are being done underground and it sessions and it's like, hey, it's in my garage and we're open blasting everything and we're not fully getting butane out of things. So it's like you might get butane poisoning, and you don't know what's being done because too, a lot of these things are being handled in like garage grows and everything's uncleanly and they don't know the proper steps to like really grow correctly, where you might be getting mites and pesticides and aphids and all different kinds of things in your grow. And how can you be sure that your product is legit?
And it's kind of unfortunate because you feel for the mom and pop, as we say, like people that are
Yeah.
starting off. But then the day, it's like any business. Let's say you're a great cook and you really want to open your own restaurant. But if you're really financially don't have it together, you haven't taken out that loan or you haven't gotten those partners, your restaurant might make people sick. You never know. Like it's as simple as even if the refrigerator isn't at a certain level for a certain amount of months, somebody could get food poisoning. So just the detail behind any company is very important, and especially when it comes to health and wellness.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting. But I love how you do your branding, by the way. I know I mentioned that earlier. And Angela is a big advocate and we are all on branding. How do you feel about like the brands now with cannabis going? There's so many different brands. There's like the colorful ones. There's the health and wellness ones. There's the over-sexualized ones. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think this is what happens in a new market, is that people are finding their niche. And, for us, our niche is herbal formulas with CBD and THC, like real targeted wellness. And some people are attracting more of the rec users or, people that enjoy sex, which most people. Yeah. and so, but everyone's got to find where they fit in.
And I think it's smart, your approach, too, because you're a former athlete. And I know Matt Barnes, who's also a former athlete in the NBA, he is kind of trying to figure out ways where the NBA will allow cannabis being recreationally used for any types of athletes. But anyways, he's an advocate for it. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think maybe in the next 5 years even that certain companies like the NBA would allow athletes to medicate?
Well, I think the biggest issue with professional leagues is really about the fan base. And when the leagues made cannabis a banned substance, this was in the early 80s, it was mainly because of public opinion.
Yeah.
And the leagues wanted to put,
And families and kids.
Exactly, an image of their players that's more wholesome. And so I think as public opinion changes, I think you're going to see these leagues make.
It's a business.
Yeah,
So I mean,
you're going to
fans
see the
are paying
opposite
for
side.
you.
You're
Yeah.
going to see the opposite side of it. Watch, and I guarantee in 6 or 7 years, you're going to see cannabis ads all over.
Yeah, I think with what happened
Stadiums.
with you and the whole what the suspension, I think that happened last season. It wouldn't be as crazy as right now.
Exactly.
And I just that's just my
And
opinion.
it's easy to go to like a stadium to go to a game and like you see like the dads drinking beer and like having fun and like you see alcohol ads and alcohol sponsorships and brandings all over. So I think eventually it'll hopefully get to like cannabis in a sense. Not obviously people
maybe
smoking.
they'll
Well,
brand it
nowadays, you
differently.
tailgate, you walk through a tailgate,
Yeah.
you're going to smell it in the air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially in Southern California.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, I guess with the branding too, because like for instance, how you branded it is wholesome. The way you have it, it's like
doesn't look
health
trashy.
and wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but Nick Diaz just fought recently in the UFC, and he lit up when he was doing his little pre-warm up stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was a joint, but it was hemp flower, and that's the thing. It got people talking, and it's what I mean. Why is he doing that? Why is he allowed to, and all that stuff? But now people are researching CBD even more and hemp. So it's just people that and they've always stuck it. Like Nate Diaz, his older brother, he was not even allowed to go into arenas for a long time. I don't know if he's still banned to go into arenas just because his stance for marijuana was just like, I'm gonna do it. You either book me or you don't. That's what it is. So I just think more people taking a stand on it will really change people. Mainstream media too.
I think that's been the biggest thing that's changed it so far is people taking a stand. Chris Long just retired from the NFL, and he was the first white person to talk about using cannabis in the NFL, and it swung a lot of doors wide open where people are really starting to pay more attention.
Yeah.
Where can people find your brand, or what website do you have that people can visit to look at all your products?
So our website is shoprw.life and rw.life. And personally, I'm rickywilliams.life, and on Insta, I'm at Williams. I don't know how I got it.
You got lucky.
I'll take
Got
it.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we are coming to the end of our show. So before we come to the end of our show, now I know I asked you about your NFL career, but is there anything you would like to tell anybody that admires you about your career? Any advice you would tell them if they're and their goal is to continue in sports, continue in education, continue in any goal they have?
I'll say continue in anything, especially for football fans. So quick story about my yoga teacher is she's from Vietnam and speaks pretty good English. And we were sitting watching football one day, and she was like, "I don't understand Americans that you guys watch football, but you just sit there and watch football and drink beer. Shouldn't it inspire you guys to go out and do something?" And so that's really the message is my experience as a football player taught me how to be a warrior and taught me how to attack my issues in life. And I think if you're going to watch football and really enjoy sports, allow yourself to be inspired by what you see out there on the field or on the court.
To be driven, and as an athlete too, you're always pushing yourself. Same thing mentally. It's always good to kind of push yourself, as long as it's in a healthy state, because obviously we were talking earlier about being a good state of mind. But yes, I guess you're right. Just always keep going, always move forward in a positive light. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in here to Green Talk by Green Care Solutions. I'm your host, Yanitza Munoz. You can follow me at Yanitza Munoz. And like we mentioned earlier, we made Forbes, so you guys can go to Forbes and just type in Green Care Solutions to read the article. And I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Brian Gonzalez, representing Green Care Solutions as always. Follow us at Green Care Solutions 420.
And I'm your girl, Angela Mazzanti. You can follow me on Instagram at Angela_Mazzanti.
Yes, and thank you so much, Ricky
Thank you so
Williams,
much,
for being
Ricky.
on the
Yes.
show. And again, what was your Instagram again?
At Williams.
I love it.
That's
Super
tough to
easy.
remember.
At Williams. Thank you guys. Till next time. Adios.